In a world full of noise, the ones who speak the least often hold the most power. Think about the people who have influenced you the most. Chances are, they weren't the ones constantly talking. They were the ones who spoke with purpose, whose silence carried as much weight as their words. In today's fast-paced world, everyone is rushing to be heard, but very few are truly listening. That is why influence has become rare. Not because people don't have something to say, but because they say too much, too often, and too carelessly. This audiobook is about reclaiming the lost art of powerful communication. Not through endless talking, but through deliberate silence, thoughtful words, and intentional actions. Influence isn't about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the calm presence everyone looks to for guidance. The greatest leaders, thinkers, and visionaries understood this secret. When you speak less, people lean in to hear you. In this audiobook, we will uncover the timeless principles that will help you master restraint, sharpen your message, and develop a presence that commands respect without demanding it. You'll learn how to observe more, listen deeply, and speak only when it truly matters. By the end, you won't just communicate differently. You'll live differently, carrying yourself with a quiet strength that naturally inspires others. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Stop talking. Start noticing. Most people think influence begins with talking. They rush into conversations eager to share their opinions, their stories, their advice. But here's the truth. You cannot influence what you do not understand. If you want to truly connect with people, to move them, to earn their trust, the very first step is not speaking, it's noticing. When you walk into a room, before you say a single word, there's already a story unfolding all around you. It's in the way people sit, the expressions on their faces, the energy they give off. But most people miss it entirely because they're too focused on what they're going to say next. They're planning their response instead of paying attention to the reality in front of them. And as a result, they miss the very thing that could give them the upper hand. Insight. Great influencers are like detectives. They observe before they act. They notice the small things. Who is speaking the most and who is staying quiet? Who seems confident and who seems unsure? Where the tension is in the room and where there's a spark of excitement. These tiny details are like clues. And when you pay attention to them, you begin to understand people on a level most never reach. Here's a simple but powerful practice. The next time you're in a conversation, resist the urge to jump in right away. Instead, take a breath and just watch. Notice the other person's tone of voice, their body language, the words they choose, and the ones they avoid. Pay attention to the pauses. There's a world of meaning hidden in those pauses. When you do this, something amazing happens. You stop guessing and start understanding. Think about the last time someone truly listened to you. How did it feel? Most likely, you felt respected. You felt safe. You felt like your thoughts mattered. That's the exact feeling you want to give others. And when people feel understood, they naturally become open to your influence. Speaking less isn't about holding back your thoughts out of fear. It's about gathering the information you need to make every word you speak count. It's about being intentional instead of reactive. The people who change the course of conversations and even the course of history are the ones who notice what everyone else overlooks. So from this point forward, make a choice. When you enter a conversation, don't rush to be heard. Instead, step back, slow down, and really see what's happening around you. Listen with your eyes, your ears, and even your intuition. The world will start revealing patterns and truths you've never seen before. And that's when real influence begins, not with your words, but with your awareness. Chapter 2. Master the pause before you speak. There's a powerful moment that exists between what happens to you and how you respond. It's small, almost invisible, but it holds incredible power. That moment is the pause. Most people skip right over it. Something is said, a situation unfolds, and they react instantly like a reflex. But influence isn't found in reacting. It's found in mastering the pause. The pause is where you regain control. It's where you decide who you want to be and what message you want to send. When you learn to pause before speaking, you stop giving away your power. Instead of blurting out words you'll later regret or jumping into a conversation without direction, you create space. And in that space, you choose wisely. Think about the most influential people you've met or seen. They don't rush their words. They take their time. When they speak, people lean in because there's weight behind what they're about to say. That weight doesn't come from magic or luck. It comes from intention. It comes from pausing. Here's the truth. When you pause, people notice. They feel the calmness in you. And that calmness is magnetic. In a world full of people who rush to speak, the one who pauses stands out. You appear thoughtful, composed, and in control, even if on the inside you're still figuring things out. The pause creates an image of strength, and that image builds trust. The pause is also a tool for clarity. Sometimes we think we know what we want to say, but when we stop for just a moment, we realize our first thought isn't our best thought. By pausing, you allow better words, better ideas, and better solutions to surface. A quick response may win an argument, but a thoughtful response can change someone's mind. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone criticizes you in a meeting. Your natural instinct might be to defend yourself immediately. Your voice rises. Your words come fast, and before you know it, the tension has escalated. But what if you pause just 2 or 3 seconds of silence? During that silence, you breathe. You remind yourself that this is not a fight, it's an opportunity. Then when you speak, your voice is calm, your words are deliberate, and the entire tone of the conversation shifts. Instead of losing respect, you gain it. Pausing also gives you the gift of listening. When you're not rushing to speak, you're free to really hear what others are saying. Not just their words, but their feelings, their fears, their intentions. Sometimes in that pause, you'll realize you don't even need to speak at all. Silence itself can be an answer, and a powerful one at that. Here's a practical way to build this skill in your next conversation. Count to 3 in your head before responding. Just 3 slow seconds. It will feel strange at first, maybe even uncomfortable because we live in a world that rewards speed. But as you practice, you'll notice something amazing. People will begin to lean into your pauses. They'll start paying closer attention because your silence signals importance. It says, what comes next matters. Another way to master the pause is through your breathing. When emotions run high, whether excitement, anger, or fear, your breath becomes shallow and quick. Before you speak, take a deep, slow breath. This simple act calms your nervous system and gives your mind the clarity to choose words that build bridges instead of walls. Remember, the pause isn't about hesitation or weakness. It's not about stalling because you don't know what to say. It's about control. It's about owning the moment instead of being owned by it. The most powerful voices in history were often the ones that used silence as skillfully as speech. From now on, think of your words like arrows. Once released, you can't take them back. The pause is the moment you aim carefully before you let go. It's your safeguard, your strategy, and your strength. When you pause, you slow the world down just enough to make better decisions. You create an air of mystery and confidence, and most importantly, you build influence not by being the loudest, but by being the most deliberate. So the next time life pushes you to react instantly, remember this. Take a breath, hold your tongue for just a few seconds, and let the power of the pause do the work. Over time, those few seconds will become your greatest advantage, separating you from the noise and placing you firmly in control of your words, your relationships, and your future. Chapter 3. Build authority through listening. If you want to influence people, you must first earn their trust. And trust doesn't come from how much you talk. It comes from how deeply you listen. Most people think leadership is about having all the answers. They believe they need to dominate conversations, always be the one speaking, always be the expert in the room. But here's the truth. People don't follow you because you talk the most. They follow you because they feel heard and understood. When someone truly listens to us, we naturally open up to their influence. Think about the last time you spoke to someone who wasn't really listening. Maybe they were nodding while checking their phone or interrupting you with their own stories. How did that feel? Probably frustrating. It made you shut down. Now think about the last time someone gave you their full attention. No distractions, no judgment, just presence. That felt completely different, didn't it? That person earned a piece of your trust without saying much at all. Listening is more than just hearing words. It's about tuning into the emotions behind those words. It's about noticing what's being said and what isn't being said. Often the real meaning hides in the pauses, the tone of voice, or the things left unsaid. When you pay attention to those subtle signals, people feel like you understand them on a deeper level, and that creates connection. Great influencers know how to make someone feel like they're the most important person in the room. They lean in, they make eye contact, and they don't rush to speak. They ask thoughtful questions and let the other person finish their thoughts completely. This kind of listening doesn't just build respect, it builds authority. Because when people feel heard, they begin to see you as someone who gets it. And when they see you that way, they trust your guidance. Here's a practical way to build this skill. The next time you're in a conversation, focus entirely on the other person. Pretend there's a spotlight shining only on them. Don't plan your response while they're speaking. Don't think about what story you want to share next. Just be fully present. Then, when they finish speaking, repeat back a key point they made in your own words. This shows you are paying attention, and it makes them feel deeply valued. Another important aspect of listening is patience. Sometimes silence feels awkward, and we rush to fill it up with words. But when you're influencing someone, silence can be your ally. When you wait just a few seconds after they stop talking, they often reveal more than they plan to share. That extra pause gives them room to open up, and it gives you more insight. Listening also helps you avoid mistakes. Many people damage relationships because they speak before fully understanding the situation. They jump to conclusions or offer solutions that miss the mark. But when you listen first, you gather the information you need to respond wisely. You speak with precision, and your words carry more weight because they're rooted in understanding. Influence built on listening isn't flashy. It's quiet, steady, and powerful. People will begin to seek you out because you make them feel safe, respected, and important. And when they seek you out, they naturally give you more authority. It's almost like magic, but it's not magic. It's human psychology. Here's something to remember. Listening is a gift. Most people go through life surrounded by noise, yet starving for someone who will truly hear them. When you become that person, you stand out. You become memorable. You become someone people trust with their dreams, their struggles, and their decisions. So, as you move forward, practice listening with intention. Be curious about others. Ask questions, not to respond, but to understand. When you do this, you'll notice something profound. People will begin to open their hearts and minds to you. They'll look to you for guidance, even if you've said very little. True influence doesn't start with your voice. It starts with your ears. Listen deeply, listen patiently, and listen with empathy. When you master this skill, you won't have to chase influence. It will come to you naturally because people follow those who make them feel seen and heard. Chapter 4. Choose words that hit hard. Words are like tools. In the right hands, they can build trust, heal wounds, and inspire action. In the wrong hands, they can destroy relationships, create confusion, and close doors that might never open again. The problem is most people use words carelessly. They talk too much, too fast, and too often without thinking about the impact their words will have. But if you want to influence others, you must choose your words with precision. Every sentence you speak should carry weight. Here's the truth. People don't remember everything you say, but they always remember how you made them feel. The right words can leave a lasting impression, while unnecessary ones will fade into background noise. That's why you must speak less, but make every word matter. Think about a time someone said something that stuck with you for years. It probably wasn't a long speech. It was likely a short, powerful statement. Something simple yet unforgettable. That's the power of well-chosen words. They don't just communicate, they resonate. When you speak, imagine your words like arrows. The more you release without aiming, the weaker they become. But when you take the time to aim carefully, one single arrow can hit the target with incredible force. This means cutting out filler language, words like maybe, or I think. These weaken your message and make you sound unsure of yourself. Instead, speak directly and with confidence. Here's a practical tip. Before responding in a conversation, ask yourself 2 questions. First, does this need to be said? And second, is this the best way to say it? These 2 questions will filter out unnecessary chatter and help you focus on what truly matters. Another key to choosing words that hit hard is simplicity. Many people think using complicated words or technical language makes them sound smart. In reality, it often has the opposite effect. True wisdom is being able to explain complex ideas in a way that anyone can understand. When you speak clearly and simply, people feel included, not excluded. And inclusion builds trust. Let's look at an example. Imagine you're trying to motivate a team. You could say, "We need to implement strategic methodologies to optimize operational efficiency." Or you could simply say, "Let's work together to make this process faster and smoother." Which one will inspire action? The second one, because it's clear, relatable, and easy to remember. Your tone matters just as much as your words. You can say the right thing, but if your tone is sharp or defensive, your message will be lost. Speak with calm authority. Slow down. Let there be space between your words. This not only makes you sound more confident, but also gives your listener time to absorb what you're saying. And don't underestimate the power of storytelling. Facts tell, but stories sell. A well-placed story can bring your words to life and connect with people on an emotional level. It doesn't need to be long or dramatic, just real and meaningful. When you wrap your message in a story, it becomes memorable. Remember, influence isn't about saying a lot. It's about saying a little very well. Some of the most influential figures in history didn't speak often, but when they did, their words shook the world. They understood that silence gives words their power. If you speak constantly, people stop listening. But if you speak rarely and wisely, people hang on to every sentence. So practice restraint. Cut out the noise. Speak with intention. The next time you're in a conversation, slow down and think, what's the one thing I want them to remember? Then craft your message around that. Choosing words that hit hard is like crafting a masterpiece. It takes patience, focus, and care. But when you master this skill, you'll no longer need to fight for attention. Your words will carry their own gravity, pulling people toward you. And in that moment, you'll understand the true power of speaking less. Not because you have nothing to say, but because what you say changes everything. Chapter 5. Control your emotions. Control the room. Influence isn't just about what you say. It's about the energy you bring into a room. People don't only hear your words, they feel your presence. And that presence is shaped by one thing: your emotions. If you can't control your emotions, your words will lose their power. But when you master your emotions, you naturally master the space around you. Think about the last time you saw someone lose their temper in public. Maybe they raised their voice, slammed their hands on the table, or let their frustration pour out without restraint. In that moment, did they seem powerful? No, they seemed out of control. And when you're out of control, you hand over your influence to whoever or whatever triggered you. People may fear you, but they won't respect you. Fear fades quickly, but respect lasts a lifetime. The people who influence us most are the ones who remain calm under pressure. They have a steady presence even in chaos. They don't get swept up by the storm. Instead, they become the anchor everyone else looks to for stability. This is why controlling your emotions is one of the most important skills you can ever develop. It's not about suppressing how you feel. It's about channeling those feelings into something constructive. Here's the truth. Emotions are contagious. If you walk into a meeting anxious and agitated, that energy spreads. If you show up calm and confident, that spreads too. The room takes its cue from you. So, if you want to influence others, you must first set the tone inside yourself. When you feel a strong emotion rising, whether anger, frustration, or even excitement, pause before reacting. Take a deep breath. That simple act gives you space to choose your response instead of being controlled by the moment. This doesn't mean you don't feel emotions. It means you don't let them drive the car. You're still in the driver's seat. Let's say someone criticizes you in front of others. Your first instinct might be to defend yourself immediately, maybe even to fight back. But if you stay calm and keep your voice steady, something powerful happens. Everyone notices your composure. The person who attacked you begins to look small while you appear strong by controlling your emotions. You gain silent authority. This skill is especially vital in leadership. People don't follow the person who panics or overreacts. They follow the person who stays level-headed when everyone else is losing their balance. Even if you don't have all the answers, your calmness gives others confidence that things will be okay. Here's a practical technique. When emotions run high, lower your tone instead of raising it. Most people do the opposite. They get louder when they want to be heard. But true authority is quiet. A calm, low voice draws people in and forces them to pay attention. It also signals self-control, which automatically commands respect. That's it. For more, you should check channel. We will meet in new video. Make sure to subscribe. Mind over pages.